Hey guys, welcome back to some more reviews. I am HorrorBoy465, aka Name Murphy the Explorer of Horror here. Welcome back to some more reviews. And if it looks like it's very early in the morning right now, I'm doing this review at 7:20 in the morning right now, so it is very early out. Move this camera up a little bit. It's very early out right now, but I decided to get up real early and do this review. And my goal today is to get 3 reviews done. So figure I start off doing a review right now, upload it, wait till a little bit later, maybe around 12 a.m., 1 p.m. ish, do that video, and then wait till probably 7 or 8 p.m. to do the video then. So I got 3 videos to get done today, so hopefully I can get all 3 of them done today. Which if you consider editing and stuff like that, which luckily I'm not doing any intros right now. I'm just uploading videos and stuff like that. The custom thumbnails take like 5 seconds to do, so that's not even taking that much time up. But today, the first movie we'll be talking about is Quarantine. Now, this is the American adaptation of the Spanish film Rec, which actually I'm not sure when it came out. Actually, let me go on IMDb here and seeing when Rec came out. Rec came out in 2007. Now, I was gonna review Rec. I prefer to review Rec over Quarantine because this movie is just okay. I think it's alright. I think it's just it's okay. I mean, when you look at it now, it's definitely more of a cliche found footage movie. I'm not really the biggest fan of found footage movie of the found footage subgenre in horror. You got this Chernobyl Diaries. Quarantine 2 is not found footage. It's actually just like a regular movie. But you got Chernobyl Diaries. Cannibal Holocaust was considered the first found footage movie, but it's not really a full movie that's shot, with a handheld camera. The Blair Witch Project, which I'm actually a fan of. I actually really do enjoy the Blair Witch Project. I hate Blair Witch 2, but I actually really do enjoy the original Blair Witch Project. There's a lot of movies that have come out that were found footage movies. Zombie Diaries was one of them. So Quarantine, compared to all these other movies, kind of feels like it's just a very cliche found footage movie. Basically, it's a lot of jump scares. Only, I will say this though, even though it is cliche, I do feel like this movie does handle a couple themes really well. First of all, practical effects. Has some really well done practical effects in the movie, not a lot of CGI. Actually, I don't remember there being any CGI. So I give the movie that, kept it all practical. Second off, this movie has some great usage of, I don't know if it's say lighting, but the movie can get very atmospheric at times. I love the atmosphere to the movie. I like the idea, sort of, that you don't know what's around every corner. So when the jump scares happen in this movie, they're not really that annoying, you know. And I think it was really well done, really well handled. The movie has a great atmosphere to it. It's definitely got a really good atmosphere to it. Practical effects, some decent acting from some of the characters. Got the guy from Child's Play 2. I believe he played actually the boss's sort of. I know he was in Child's Play 2. He was Greg German, and he was in Bolt, Here Comes the Boom, Sweet November, and Ally McBeal. But I do remember him from Child's Play 2. He sort of played the the guy who worked for the boss, was doing everything for the boss, and the boss was treating him like crap, and then, he's the guy who, and the scene in the parking lot, Child's Play 2, the guy who gets strangled, he's in this movie, did a decent job. I know that Jay Hernandez did a decent job, but this lead girl, Jennifer Carpenter, she was also from The Exorcism of Emily Rose. She played Emily Rose in that movie. I'm not a fan of that movie. I wasn't really a big fan of her performance in this movie. I prefer the girl from Rec more. Mainly because she got really annoying at times, Jennifer Carpenter. She, especially when she freaks out, she literally starts hitting Jay Hernandez and screaming her head off and stuff like that. And I'm just like, dude, it just got really annoying. And then what sucks though is that her acting leading up to that was pretty decent, but then towards the second and third act it got pretty bad. And I get it, she's scared. I would be scared too if I was locked in that apartment building full of like people who have rabies and stuff, but I do get it, she's scared, but it it was just it got very annoying at times. Just her acting, whenever she screamed, I was just like, oh, this is really annoying. And Jamie Lee Curtis, she screamed a lot in Halloween, but it wasn't annoying. And I feel like in some movies, if you're gonna have a lead girl, if she's gonna be freaking out, like, just for it to be a good acting performance. Because in this movie, Jennifer Carpenter didn't do a good job. Jamie Lee Curtis does excellent on Halloween. I'll give you some good examples of the lead girls in horror movies that do a really good job. Jamie Lee Curtis. You got I believe Amy Steele from Part Two. I love the girl from the original movie. Forgot her name right now. But there's a lot of and the girl from the remake of Texas Massacre. Also Marilyn Burns. Good job. Those are people, or those are actresses that when they freak out, they're believable. Here, it's just like, first of all, it's unbelievable because I don't know, her just acting was just too over the top at times. Jennifer Carpenter. I wasn't a fan of her performance in X-Men Ellen Rose. Not a fan of her performance in this movie. She just got really, really annoying at times. The guy who played the camera guy did a decent job. Pretty much the rest of the cast did decent. It wasn't really a horrible cast. Everybody did a decent job. Of course, Jay Hernandez is from Hostel and Hostel Part 2. The bull crap of Hostel Part 2, where he pretty much gets decapitated in the very opening scene of the movie. That's the bull crap of that movie. But the movie Quarantine gets a 6.0 on IMDb, and it came out in 2008. Written by John Eric Dowdle, who had made As Above, So Below, Devil. He also made the Poughkeepsie Tapes, which it didn't get a release on DVD yet. I believe it just went in theaters, but it never got a DVD release, which is really weird. But, and he also made No Escape, which I really enjoy that movie. I love No Escape. I love As Above, So Below. And I'm interested in seeing the Poughkeepsie Tapes so that I can give it a watch one day. I'm not really sure how I'm going to see it, though, because it's not available on DVD or Blu-ray, but I definitely do want to give it a watch one day. I'm not a fan of Devil, I'll be honest. I thought the Devil was pretty bad. It was boring. It was PG-13. You barely seen the Devil in the movie, and when you did see it, it was just barely there, and it just was a very dull and boring film. I hated Devil. This movie is it's okay. I can watch it as a time waster, but I think that compared to Wreck, I think that Wreck was a little bit more atmospheric than this movie. Even though I love the atmosphere in this movie, I feel like Wreck made it even more scarier. Like this has a very good and scary atmosphere to it, but I thought that Wreck did it even 1,000 times better because in Wreck it felt more, I don't know, this felt more it felt more Hollywood than Wreck. I mean, that's just how I describe it. This one feels more Hollywood. Feels like it has a big budget behind it, which I'm not really sure if it does. It has a $12 million budget. It made $31 million. So this one, it just felt like it's a little bit more Hollywood. You got HD camera, the lighting. It just felt very Hollywood. Wreck, it felt very realistic. It felt very real. And everybody was given a very realistic performance in that movie. I love Wreck, which I wanted to review that. I would prefer to review that over Quarantine, maybe because I'm much more of a fan of Wreck. I think that Quarantine's alright, but I really do enjoy Wreck. I remember when I seen it, and the reason not reviewing it is because I haven't seen it in a while, but I do remember when I did see it, and I was really impressed by it. But I haven't seen it in a good 5 or 6 years. It's been a long time since I've seen the first Wreck. I haven't seen Wreck 2. I watched Wreck 3 about 3 years ago. It's been a while since I've seen that. remember thinking that the movie was pretty decent. Um, yeah, I know they got a Rec 4, which doesn't look that good in my opinion. It doesn't look that good. But I prefer Rec over Quarantine because Quarantine feels like it's much more of a big budget Hollywood production with fancy lighting and stuff like that, which, you know, and like an HD camera and stuff like that. And I do get it; it was made later, but it just didn't feel as realistic as Rec did. Rec, the lighting was just so dark, but yet it worked for the movie. In this movie, it's a dark. It's hard to explain. This one just the way that I described this movie compared to Rec is that this one feels more Hollywood and not as realistic as Rec. And Rec is much more creepier than this because the atmosphere is even darker. The camera is it just everything looks more realistic in Rec. Here it looks more Hollywood. And honestly, here you got characters who make some dumb decisions. You know, because there's this one scene where you find out that there's pretty much this rabies virus that's spreading around in this apartment complex. And pretty much there's a scene where there's these two infected people laying on a table. Literally, this dude turns around, the zombie raises, and he doesn't even look back to make sure the zombie's not right, or I don't know if he called it a zombie, but he doesn't turn back around to make sure the infected person isn't rising back up, and then he gets bit. You got stupid decisions like instead of them going downstairs, I get it because they're being chased, but they go up to the attic, you know, and it's just like I was thinking like, how are you gonna get out now if you're going to the attic? And I will say this though. I enjoyed the atmosphere. I enjoyed the practical effects. Had some decent acting. And also another dumb scene. Before I get to the guts about the movie, another dumb scene is where you got this dude. Literally, like the government tells him, "Hey, if you try to exit the building, you're gonna be killed." This guy literally just takes a piece of glass, cuts the plastic off the window because he's freaking out, and he's like, "Hey, help me, man!" Of course, he gets shot. I'm like, dumb. I mean, it wasn't as dumb as a guy who literally just ran out in part 2. In Quarantine 2, literally a dude opens up the door and runs out. I'm like, do you not expect to get shot? There's government out there with machine guns and stuff, and the guy just ran out, which I'll review that. I'll do a rant on it because it's a piece of crap, but I'll do a rant on it maybe sometime soon, maybe. I know that next week I'm not going to be doing anything because I'm taking a break because it's a lot to do 2 videos or 1 video every single day, and you know that's why I feel like I'll just take a week off, you know, and then I'll come back in 2 weeks to do some more movie reviews and videos. But it wasn't as stupid as that, but it was still kind of stupid because it was like the government even told these people not to go out the building, but the guy still tries to open up. He still cuts the plastic because they put this plastic over the building. Cuts the plastic and tries to, hey guys, help us. I'm like, do you not expect to get shot? But the good thing about the movie is that it has a great atmosphere, not as scary as Rec, but still a decent atmosphere, pretty good. The jump scares worked; they weren't annoying. You had some pretty good practical effects, and I love some of the scenes in the movie, especially during the third act. The third act is scary as heck. You know, they're running away and one by one people are getting infected and they're running through darkness and stuff like that, and these demonic looking things are just coming out of darkness, like these infected people are just like, you know, they're coming out of the darkness. And this one's a little bit different than Rec. Quarantine is more about a virus that's being spread around. You know, you find that through these rats and stuff like that, and these rats are biting people, and that's how these people are becoming these, you say zombies, but they're a little bit different. They're not undead. They're just infected people with this sort of rabies virus. But pretty much in this movie, in the Quarantine movies, it's more about an outbreak of this virus in this one place being contained. And in the Rec movies, I think it's like something like demons possessing people. So it's a very big difference between the Quarantine movies and the Rec movies. Is that Quarantine is more based around a rabies virus, and Rec is more of a demonic possession sort of thing. They're both interesting ideas. You know, Wreck is more on the creepy side because you're thinking these people are possessed by demons. And then I like the idea how in Wreck 3, and I think they even did it in Wreck 1, I'm not sure, but I know that in Wreck 3, whenever you seen the person's reflection or something like that, it was a demon. And, I like the idea of sort of these demons possessing people, and that's a pretty neat idea. Here it's pretty basic. I mean, it's still pretty good, but it's pretty basic. I mean, he's got a virus, a more of a fast-acting rabies virus, and the story is pretty basic. I mean, you got this television reporter and their cameraman. They're doing a story about the life of firefighters and stuff. And one day they get a call that there's this apartment complex that's infected, or not infected, but there's somebody in the apartment complex who's been screaming in like the one of the floors way up the top of the building. And they end up going there. They get inside of the building. They go upstairs to see what the noise is. And it's a really creepy scene. I will say this: these scenes are very intense. And you see this old sort of lady turn around. Her eyes are all red. She's foaming out of the mouth, and she runs toward him and gets shot. And then you find that the government locks this place down and puts in the quarantine. And it's pretty much about these people trapped inside this apartment, complex or this building, and they're gonna try and figure out how to get out of the building. And while that's going on, you got people one by one getting infected. There's even a point where they gotta close their garage door, contain this area off. The government sends in, or the CDC, they send in people into the building. They get attacked and bitten, and that's when they found that there's pretty much this. How this all began was there was a call about a dog, and it ended up being infected with this virus, and then it infected the animals, and then the building got tied into that as well. And it's definitely a creepy idea of being trapped in a building with like infected people, and you can't go out. If you do, you'll die. It's definitely a very creepy idea. And there's a lot of suspenseful scenes, really well done scenes. There's a scene where this girl turns into this infected, rabies thing. I don't want to call them zombies. They're not really zombies. This little girl becomes infected. And it's definitely a creepy scene because she bites a police officer in the neck. And pretty much what it leads to is a handful of the survivors left in the building. They go to a room, and in that room, more and more infected get into that room. They run out. Their plan is to get into the basement, but they end up getting attacked. They run into the attic, and this was a very well done scene right here. Like, this is possibly the most creepiest scene in the movie. And I think it was done like a little bit more better in Wreck, but it was still freaking creepy in this movie. They get into the attic and they see like newspapers everywhere, and you find there's pretty much a mad scientist living in the attic, and he's been testing these animals. He's been testing this virus out on the animals and stuff like that. And when you see this thing, it's like a tall, I don't know if it's like a man or a woman. I think it's a man, but it looks like a woman. A tall, wrinkly thing, and it looks creepy as heck. And they go up into the attic at the whole thing where they turn night vision on, and they gotta make sure they keep quiet. Of course, they mess, they bump into things, and they end up getting killed. The thing actually has a hammer and just hits them both and kills them both. And that's pretty much the end of the movie. So it's pretty cliche. I mean, you see most found footage movies, they're just like this, a lot of running, a lot of jump scares. But this one, I think it handled a lot better than a couple other movies I've seen. Like, I've seen a bunch of found footage movies, I can't even name them off. Like, I've seen a bunch of them. Like, I enjoyed Frankenstein's Army. I enjoyed that movie. I'm not interested in seeing Chernobyl Diaries. I just not interested in seeing it. There's VHS, which I'm not interested in seeing. I heard it was pretty bad. I loved VHS too. VHS Viral so far is so boring. I just stopped watching. I couldn't watch anymore. It's so freaking boring. So I'm not really the biggest fan of found footage movies. But I will say this though, there's a couple of them I really enjoy. I really enjoy Wreck. I really enjoy Blair's Project. I enjoy Paranormal Activity 1 and Paranormal Activity the Mark 1s. The rest of the movies in the franchise suck. 2 sucked, 3 sucked, 4 sucked, and The Ghost Dimension looks silly. But Quarantine, it's definitely a decent film. It's not total crap. I think it does have good things to it. I thought that John Eric Dowdle did a good job directing the movie. And it's definitely creepy. It's definitely scary. You know, I like the idea of sort of they're running in this darkness and these things are popping out the camera randomly. It's definitely creepy. But I don't think it's as well made as Wreck. I will say I really enjoy. Well, I don't know why I'm pointing out. I don't got Wreck, but I really enjoy Wreck. But I still thought this movie was okay. It's a little bit more Hollywood than Wreck, and that's why I enjoyed Wreck more, because Wreck was like more of a raw. It seemed real. It was shot very realistically. Here, you already know it's Hollywood just by the look of the movie. It just looks and screams Hollywood, and it just in the budget was it 8 million? No, it's not 8 million. It was 12 million. Um, 8 million is a small budget, but 12 million still a small budget, but still $12 million budget. I mean, the movie, the way it looks, is pretty. It has like a HD camera, so it looks Hollywood. And I don't know what to say. I mean, Wreck was better. I thought Wreck had an atmosphere better. I thought that the lead girl in Wreck wasn't annoying. I'm not a fan of Jennifer Carpenter in this movie. I wasn't a fan of her acting performance in this movie. Um, and I thought that Wreck was more dark. It was just the atmosphere, you know, the acting, the rawness, the realness of Wreck was amazing. And in this movie, it's sort of not as realistic as Wreck. But it's definitely an okay movie. I think it's pretty decent. And yeah, I definitely don't hate the movie. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching my review on Quarantine. And I'll see you guys on the next review. Bye, guys.